According to a new group of scientists, they might be hiding something incredible. Lost artifacts untouched for centuries, hidden knowledge. Their radar scans prove that there's a vast hidden complex below the pyramids.
They claim to have detected a vast underground complex, spiral staircases, mysterious chambers.
Mate, the world is going crazy about these 8 cylindrical things underneath the pyramids.
Apparently, through the use of LiDAR, they have discovered that there are enormous structures underneath the Great Pyramid that go kilometers deep into the earth.
A team of researchers has just announced a groundbreaking discovery.
We don't know who built the pyramids, but the latest research on the pyramid has shown something even more sinister. Now, this right here is actually what's underneath the pyramid. Apparently, there is an entire structure that's hidden underneath the pyramid, and we already spoke about this in my previous video, but today we have received the full information about what's actually underneath the pyramid. And what the latest research has just found out is even scarier that we humans are not yet ready to witness. We obviously haven't discovered who the actual builder of the pyramid is. According to the science and theories, they just love to claim that it was the ancient Egyptians that built the pyramid. It seems like what we have just discovered just blows all of those theories out of the park, because this thing is actually scary. Now, from this 3D image here, you can actually see that it seems like there is a whole pillar-like structure that goes 600 meters all the way down towards the earth, which is underneath the pyramid. And this is basically what the structure actually looks like. And it's all just these pillars, which has a very similar resemblance to what Nikola Tesla had already discovered about the pyramids. And the entire world said that he was just crazy, talking about theories that really don't exist. But right now, after the latest research, it seems like the possibility could be that there is something way too dark about the pyramids. Now, obviously, we know the government, they always give some or the other dumbest explanation in the name of science in order to shut people off. Where the theory, as far as what the government stands on, is that the pyramids were built by ancient Egyptians. And the government says that the pyramids were built as a tombstone for storing their dead people. Now, honestly, this is one of the most stupidest theories to ever exist, because there is absolutely no actual tombs found inside the pyramid. Nor was there any mummified bodies found inside the pyramid as well. Now, this is just a pure assumption based on what the government wants to tell us, where they've been saying for all these years that it is just some sort of a tomb. But the latest discovery has just now proven that the pyramids are actually built in order to be a proper, way too advanced scientific equipment, which basically serves as an energy conductor using just the sun and the environment around us on Earth. Now, as we know, the pyramids, when they were built, the entire pyramid was covered using a limestone, which basically reflects off the sunlight instead of absorbing, and this is one of the perfect materials that whoever built this pyramid had this particular thing in mind. And it's not just something that they did for a tomb, but the limestone actually served a far more greater purpose. The reason why the government claims that it's nothing but a tomb that was built by ancient Egyptians is because, as far as what we personally believe about the ancient civilization, we just think of them as some sort of a primal being. And comparing us to them, it seems like we are way more advanced in science and technology. But however, it seems like whoever was living before us was way too advanced, and they might not even be actual human beings who ever built this pyramid. It's because there was another research which was done in Iraq, where there were 3 different artifacts which was found together in the same place. And the 3 artifacts were: 1, the surrounded pot, and 2nd, a tube of copper, and 3rd, a rod of iron. Now, what they did with all 3 of these artifacts is that they put the liquid acid inside the pot. Turns out that it actually produces electricity. And this artifact, when it's combined together, this basically works as a battery. Now, they also used to call this as the Baghdad or Parthian battery. Now, keep this in mind, that this whole invention was already discovered 2,000 years ago. The first electrical appliance that we humans started using in our personal homes was only in the year 1910, which means that this technology, the battery technology, was already founded 2,000 years ago. And it seems like ancient civilization already knew how to use them. And we don't know what kind of things they exactly used those on, because we obviously don't have the knowledge of the technologies that these beings possessed. And as far as what I can say, it doesn't seem like the ancient civilizations were really humans. Now, it was not just a liquid acid that kind of turned on the electricity. You could also use lime juice, and lime juice would also produce electricity. And just 10 years later, after this whole thing was discovered, it seems like people used to use grape juice inside the pot in order to produce electricity. And for some reason, it seems like fruits or anything that has a citric property is going to be conducting electricity. And they tested this whole thing out in 1934, and they found out that when you add lemon juice to this battery, it was actually able to conduct 4 volts of electricity, which, to be honest, was a discovery that we humans still could not believe, that ancient civilization, they already used to use stuff like these back in those times. Now, if you also take a look at the pyramid when it was originally built, it was not really all stones as the pyramid currently looks like, because when the pyramid was originally built, it was completely filled with limestones. The exterior of the pyramid was completely covered with a shell-like structure, which is basically a material that could be used in order to reflect off the sunlight, as though the entire pyramid was made out of mirrors. And another very interesting thing is that the pyramid was also placed in an exact 90 degrees proportion, to the northern compass, which is something that not even us in this generation, with all the technologies that we possess, have been able to build anything with such accuracies as what the Egyptians actually did. Now, sadly, in 1303, it seems like there was a massive earthquake that just naturally happened, and ever since this earthquake happened, it seems like most of the outer shell of the pyramid basically just fell off due to the massive vibrations of Earth. And slowly over time, all the limestones which was fallen off was basically gathered by the locals, and they started using it for other purposes. And some even intentionally broke down the pyramid structure in order to gather limestones. And that's the reason why there's literally no shell left out in the pyramid as of now. And it was later on when the government stepped in and they said that it's one of the 7 wonders of the world and they need to preserve this place. And that's exactly when people were not allowed by the government in order to climb the pyramid. Now, what's also interesting here is that the interior of the pyramids and all the chambers inside the pyramid is actually made out of a material called dolomite, which is nothing but a composed rock, which is a composition material of calcium magnesium carbonate. And dolomite in particular is not any ordinary rock.
Cuts made in this reflective stone were angled perfectly, so it would have a smooth, flat appearance. This would have made the giant structures brightly reflect the light of the sun like a mirror. It also would have made perfect insulation inside the structure.
You see how the entire pyramid was like made in a completely smoother way. It's not just rocky and, currently it's all just filled with rocks and it's not really arranged in a very smooth pattern. But then when it was originally made, it seems like every single minute amount of stone was made with such precision that the entire thing just looked like a complete mirror. And that's how precise they were in order to make this pyramid. And they were not even using any sort of technology that we have, which means that what kind of technology could they be possessing?
Quake in 1303 disrupted
mystery.
the casing stones, and they were removed to use on other structures. Today, all that remains is the inner core of the pyramid. The image of the incredible amount of light that would have reflected from the monument raises curiosity, as does the reason for the insulation. Was there a desire to draw attention to their dead? To keep mummies warm or cool, or
I don't think
perhaps
so.
something else? Next, the material, dolomite, was used on the inner surfaces.
That's what I was
Dolomite is
talking about.
known to increase electrical conductivity directly relative to the amount of pressure on it. High pressure creates more electrical current. Next, lining the passageways and underground tunnels of the pyramids is granite, which is slightly radioactive. Granite contains high amounts of quartz crystal with metal, and it's a well-known conductor of piezoelectricity. Piezoelectricity occurs as a result
Look at that stuff. So they're applying pressure from both the sides, and that's actually going to be conducting electricity.
of
That's
stress
how it
or
works.
pressure on the quartz,
And they're going
as
to test it?
demonstrated by the wristwatches, which can be charged simply by rapidly shaking them. This granite actually ionizes the air inside the pyramid, creating a chemical reaction which, again, increases the conductivity of electricity.
That's
When
incredible.
such electrons are given the chance to bypass sections of rock via metal,
And also keep this in mind that each pyramid has a very weird, bizarre structure where you have these tunnels, like, very tiny tunnels that comes out of the sides. And it just seems like, for some reason, whatever kind of electricity is getting channeled all the way down here, it could just pass through each and every one of these tunnel-like structures and just spread out of nowhere. And all of this energy is basically just combined together in this core of the pyramid. And then now, with the latest research, we have just found out that there is a whole entire world underneath the pyramid, which is completely just mind-blowing.
wire, quite large currents can flow. Another important material used to construct them is the mysterious mortar, 500,000 tons of it, which holds the giant stones in place. Though it's been analyzed many times, modern technology has yet to exactly recreate this gypsum, which comes from sediment. This gypsum can withstand tremendous pressure, and astoundingly is even stronger than the stones themselves. Clearly, it's contributed to keeping the monument intact for thousands of years.
Now, one of the theories, according to something that I usually read, which is the scriptures of the Bible, has a very good explanation for this whole stuff. Because if you currently take a look at what the pyramid is basically built like, you obviously know that there are some very precise engineering that's currently being used in order to completely build the pyramid, from the outside of the pyramid to the exterior, interior, and now recently we have just found out that underneath the pyramid there seems to be 8 pillars, which looks something like this, and there's like a whole entire coir-like structure that goes all the way up there, and it basically serves as a complete conductor of electricity, and it's all just done using natural resources. It's not done with artificial electricity. Whoever discovered this stuff or whoever created the pyramids, it seems like they knew a lot more about our Earth than what we humans do. It seems like they understood environment way better than us. It seems like they knew how Earth would function way better than us. They also knew each and every single components of different stones and elements that exist on Earth, and that's just absolutely mind-blowing to know that these things were created 4,000 years ago. And after the latest discovery, I honestly think that the pyramids could be created even before 4,000 years. It could be before the flood of Noah, according to what the Bible is described. Now, as I was saying, the Bible scriptures have already talked about this stuff, or if you ask ChatGPT, you'll actually get the answer. Or according to the scriptures, it seems like before the Noah's flood, when human beings began to increase in numbers on earth and daughters were born to them, the sons of God, who are the angels, saw that the daughters of humans were beautiful, and they could marry any of them they chose. Then the Lord said, "My spirit will not contend with humans forever, for they are mortals, and their days will be 120 years. And back in those days, God actually allowed humans to live for way longer. And over the time, he decided that we're just very sinful, and adding on years is basically just going to add on more sins to our name. So that's basically why with each generation, it just seems like, our lifespan just keeps decreasing. And the reason why is because God has already decided that stuff. Now, getting to the main part here, as you know, the Nephilims, who are also known as the giants, were actually on the earth in those days and also afterwards. When the sons of God, who to be clear are the angels, went to the daughters of human, and they had intercourse with each other, because the angels thought that human women are actually way more beautiful, and they decided to have an intercourse, and who back in those times were known as heroes of the old, men of renown. And also these children were known to be so powerful. They were not like any normal humans. And in some of the mythologies, you would also know some of the greatest warriors like Hercules from Greek, Leonidas from Sparta, and also a lot of Indians from Hindus who also worship one of these giant gods named Hanuman. And it was also the same in the Chinese mythology, where you also had Wukong, who was the Monkey King, and Monkey King was also considered as one of the avatars of Buddha. These were the type of beings which the Bible already states that they are called as the Nephilims. And some were even normal size like us humans. Like, for example, Leonidas of Sparta, he was normal size like a regular human being, but then the power that this man possessed actually made him stand with his 300 Spartan army going against 10,000 enemies. Now, can you imagine imagine any human being who could win a war against 10,000 soldiers. But back in those times, it seems like it was possible. And these were the kind of people that were created by the bloodline, which the Bible already states as the Nephilims. Now, a lot of people believe that the Nephilims, who are the giants, were actually the guys who built the pyramids, because not even the current generation mechanism and technology that we have is actually able to lift the kind of rocks that were used in order to build the pyramid. Because each rock in the pyramid weighs about 2.5 to 15 tons. And these rocks were actually found 500 kilometers away from the place where the pyramid is built, which means that whoever built the pyramid was easily able to carry these rocks, 500 kilometers away in order to build this pyramid in this particular location. There seems to be a lot more mystery, and currently we have just uncovered something that seems to be backing up a lot that the Bible already talks about. So honestly, I would love to hear from you guys in the comments down below. Please just take a few seconds of your valuable time, leave your feedbacks. It really does matter. I would love to read your comments and reply to as many of you guys as I possibly can. And also, if you want to support this video, the one thing that you can actually do is by dropping a like on this video. It really helps boost the algorithm in order to show this video to as many people as possible. So you guys could just take a few seconds of your valuable time, drop a like, and also comment. It all just helps in order to build the algorithm up. And genuinely speaking, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Now, with that being said, if you guys want to watch more content like these, make sure to go ahead and subscribe to the channel, turn the notifications on so that you guys can get notified with every single video that I post on this channel. Now, with that being said, hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Until then, take it easy, fams, and goodbye.